You shook me to tears. Am I making this clear? Just give me a break. For fuck's sake. For fuck's He's got a big car and he drives real fast, but you can't see where you're going with your head up your ass. His voice is kinda muffled cause it's full of shit, and all I got to say about it, you shook me to tears. Am I making this clear? Just give me a break. For fuck's sake. For fuck's sake. For fuck's sake. For fuck's sake. My little doggy, how you've grown so tall. You've grown into a very painful know-it-all. I'd like to shove your head into a barbed wire fence, but you'd probably tell me all about it. You shook me to tears. Am I making this clear? Just give me a break. For fuck's sake. For fuck's sake. For fuck's sake. For fuck's sake. You shook me to tears. Am I making this clear? Just give me a break. For fuck's sake. For fuck's sake. You shook me to tears. For fuck's sake.
G'day, guys. Here we are. I like to think that that song was written for Lorne because it really does sum up a few of my thoughts there. But yeah, welcome. So here we are at the last chapter of this book. And with me, as always, is Eel Reerg. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing good. I'm doing even better now because I don't know if everyone else on the stream just heard, but you were singing along to that song, and it was really good. You have a great singing voice, Cornville. You should sing on your streams more often, I think.
Well, unfortunately, I wasn't singing on the stream. I did forget that I didn't have our conversation muted. But I did panic.
Oh, rats.
I did panic when you commented and thought, "Oh shit!" But I was muted to the stream. So only, the embarrassment only extends to you. So yeah, so I can't believe we're at the last chapter. I've such mixed feelings about it. I mean, this has been fun every week, but also this book is horrible. It's horrible. So yeah, how do you feel about it?
I don't know if you remember this, but like in 2009 when James Cameron's Avatar came out, there was like a collection of people that got depressed after the movie ended because the world was so, like, you would invest yourself so deeply into it, and like the IMAX experience really sold it and blah blah blah. So there were like people who actually got depression after that movie was over. And that's how I feel about this book. It's what am I gonna do now?
Well, that's right. That's
Just that good.
That's it. I mean, I might, maybe I won't be able to stream anymore. Maybe we'll just have to start it all over again from the top. So, who knows? But let's worry about that once we get through it, shall we? So let's just say hello to everyone because I know how much that pisses everyone off. G'day, Spencer Silvera and Cornville Councillor and Yarn Queen. Hurry up, so bossy Yarn Queen. G'day, the Duchess of Cornville and Kitty Velociraptor and Javon and Rachel D and Cybersqueak. G'day, Cybersqueak. Who else we got here? And we've got Ryan Chaffins. Hello, Ryan Chaffins and Slash. Who still won't, realise that he's not wanted here. Just joking. G'day Rachel D and Jesse's Abuse Piccolo. Great name. G'day Hardcore Poetry and Geometric Headdress and one of those weirdos who, in my head, I'm having a weird dichotomy, says one of those weirdos. And also Catch-22 and Asbury Brad and Eel Reerg, who is a spokesperson of Cornville Three-Way Limited. Just let me say to the Duchess of Cornville that we here at Cornville Limited hate children of all ages. And that is very true. And Sean McClure, g'day mate. Alison Marie Armstrong, hello. And Bunny, whose head pods are about to die. So, well, you can always put this on speakerphone, Bunny. You know, this book is not safe for anyone, so probably don't do that. Mandy S, hello. And Salty Robot. And the Lord of the Dinner Rings. And Vexy, g'day Vexy, great to see you as always. And Slothcat, hello to you. And Majestic Felcor. And Ruby Roo. G'day Ruby Roo. Ruby. And Kel Imberg. And Shins Koala, g'day mate. Chin says, did you guys do the funeral for both victims and murderer being laid to rest at the same funeral? No.
Yeah, without you, Shins. Wouldn't even dream of it.
No, but that, you know, we did miss that. We'll put an extra American flag on over their bodies to make up for it. Lulubop19, hello. And Omega Heber. Stream some Jeroen. And medium syllables. Cool. I think that is everyone. So let's get into it. So any kind of, just kind of recapping, and correct me what I missed, but essentially last chapter he killed his therapist, which for no real apparent reason except for having the audacity to try to help him, which made complete sense. There was definitely nothing to question there, and he slapped his wife, who promptly neatly packed his bag for him to leave. And I don't think much else happened. Am I right?
Yeah, I think that, and he buried therapist in the same area. Then he slept in his car. I think that's where we left off. He's asleep in his car.
That's right. Yeah. No. Well, I think that's it. So let's jump into it. And g'day to the Cornville Nightmare. So where are we? Let's get rid of this one and let's get this bad boy up. All right. So chapter 12. So it's a bit of a short one, but I'm sure we'll have plenty to say. So chapter 12. Lorne woke with a start when he heard an abnormal sound. His eyes focused on two raccoons. Oh, it's raccoons, isn't it? Raccoons? Oh, fuck me.
Either way works. You're doing great so far.
Yeah, shut up. His eyes focused on two trash pandas playing on the hood of his car. He yelled and pounded on the dash of his car to scare the trash pandas away. Irritated that they only looked at him and didn't leave, he laid heavily on the horn and watched angrily as the raccoons scurried off the hood and into the woods. After calming himself down, he looked at the digital clock on his radio. More clock watching. Lorne decided he would need to get something to eat before he set out on his mission that night, so he started up his car and drove to the next town and brought some junk food and a soda. He ate his meal in his car and headed back toward Bloomington. And g'day, Respector Wildo. And I don't know, there's not much to say about that, but every other chapter we've heard in great detail about his food, and now it's just junk food and soda. But yeah, exactly, superfluous.
Yeah, you could completely trash those first two paragraphs. Doesn't fucking matter.
Nah, that's right. We could have just kicked off right here with Kayla was at home alone. Something had been giving her a bad feeling all day, and she decided to take Trevor to Lorne's mother's house and let them spend some time together for the night. So hang on. Something had been giving her a bad feeling all day. What? But
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, but that's written in a way like, if something's been giving you a bad feeling, like you can't put your finger on it, like, there's just kind of a vibe, you've got a bit of a feeling like something bad's going to happen. You can't really, I mean, he has slapped her and, been doing all this stuff that leads you to think he's possibly murdering people. But she's like, I just can't really work out what's wrong. Like he had slapped her to the point where she has packed his stuff, kicked him out, and now she's just sitting there going, got a bit of a bad feeling about today. I hope nothing happens. Like what?
I took it as like she's worried that Aaron's gonna come back, and so she's like, okay, he's gonna come back and murder me. I better just take my kid to his mom's house, and that way he just murders me and not my kid. If you're having a bad feeling that he's gonna murder you and your child, just leave town or inform the police or go to some location that he doesn't know. Like, don't just take your kid to someone else's house and go, I guess whatever happens to me happens to me.
Well, yeah, exactly right. And say that. Like, I mean, there has been like there's no need like the previous chapter was all about basically Lorne has lost his mind. He is, he is being abusive to her. He's doing all this stuff. Like, but you're talking about, so, you should be talking about you've got a bad feeling because of what happened. And, like you say, you're getting out of here, not taking the kid to his mother's house to spend some time together. Like even if you're saying, okay, I'm prepared to wait here to be murdered, but I don't want my son to be murdered. So you're taking him to her house to try to protect him. Obviously thinking that there's no way that he'll kill him there because, Mama Gwen's there and that would really put a strain on their sexual relationship, So like say that.
Yeah, give us some insight into what she's thinking. If you're not going to do it with Aaron or Lorne, give us Kayla's side of it. I don't think he's capable of doing that, though.
No,
Clearly, we're at the last chapter.
I don't think so either. And g'day, Triggy Tiggy and Donde Lieta. Blessings. Kayla had talked some to Lorne's mother, but didn't go into detail about the previous night. She only let her know that Lorne had been acting strange lately. So
Your son's been acting strange lately, and I have a black eye.
Yeah.
No reason to question it any further, Mama Gwen. Here's my baby. Hold on to him for the night. What the fuck is this?
That is exactly right. Like, and what? So they talk some, and she's like, "Oh, your son's been acting really strange lately." Like, okay then. Bye. Like, no. Like, what do you mean he's been acting strangely? Yeah, I don't want to talk about that no more. You're just talking rubbish. Now it was dark again, and Kayla's fear had grown more. The dark had always done that to her. Yeah, that's like pretty much everyone. It wasn't that she was afraid of the dark, but afraid of what she couldn't see. Oh, come on. It wasn't that she was afraid of the dark, but afraid of what she couldn't see in the dark. Right, so a pretty standard fear of the dark. Like, I'm pretty sure that no one who is afraid of the dark is sitting there afraid of the dark. It's what they can't see. It's, what is this?
Thought that he's expressed there in a way that no one has ever really articulated that well. Wow, you're not afraid of the dark, actually. You're afraid of what you can't see in the dark. Wow, I'm really glad he pointed that out. What a fucking jackass.
It really is one of those iconic quotes, much like, we have nothing to fear but fear itself. Like that really should be on a plaque somewhere.
Was she also not afraid of heights? She was afraid of falling. Is that also another thing that she's afraid of?
I reckon it would be. She's not afraid of knives. She's afraid of being stabbed. All that kind of stuff. And g'day to All the Way Absurd. And Drew B. She laid on the couch after putting a movie in the DVD player. She was almost asleep when she heard a noise. It was someone trying to get in the front door. Well, you're not going to get in the front door because Kayla, the master locksmith, has changed those locks. She sat there in fear and waited for something to happen. After what seemed like an hour, but was really only about 30 seconds, the front doorknob stopped rattling. So she's just going to go, okay, my murderous husband is trying to get in the front door. I'm just going to lay here.
Is she okay with dying?
She
Is
seems
that
very
like,
okay. Like she seems so okay
yeah?
with dying to the point that I think I think she wants to die. Like,
Well, she's married to Lorne, so
well, that
it
is
might be a bit of relief for her if she dies. Only
well,
escape at this point.
that is a really good point. She's ready to leave this world, but she just can't do it herself. Which don't worry because you've got a husband to take care of that for you. You're just a silly woman, Kayla. You know. And I've lost my place anyway. All good. Here we go. Kayla quickly got up and opened the drawer to the desk in the living room. Lorne's handgun was still there. She picked up the gun, making sure it was loaded, then went to the phone to call the police. There was no dial tone. She knew then that Lorne had cut the phone line. Very astute. She set the phone down and slowly backed up to the couch. Looking around in
Why are
fear.
we from Kayla's perspective here? Just sorry, but
No,
it seems weird.
it does seem weird, but I guess by the same token, we had Dr. Jeff's perspective as he died, so probably
We
not that
had
weird.
Lauren's perspective leading up to the death.
Yes.
Like, this feels jarring. This feels like a chain. This is literally the last chapter. Why would you,
Literally. Um,
Leroy?
yeah, I mean, from a like a narrative and a literary point of view, this is very odd. But from a Lorne point of view, par for the course.
Right,
Um,
right.
G'day to thanks, Anne. Like moths to the flame. And Honest, g'day, Honest. Always great to see you. Cool. Make sure it's load, no dial tone, blah blah blah. Here we go. She set the phone down and slowly backed up to the couch, looking around in fear with each step backward. Sitting down on the couch, she tried to calm herself by closing her eyes and taking a deep breath. All she could do was think about Brad, and what his life would be like without her. It was bad enough that he would never see his father. She opened her eyes when the tears started to fall. While wiping the tears away, she decided she needed to be strong through this and come out the survivor. Her heart skipped when the echo of breaking glass came through one of the bedrooms. Kayla slowly lifted herself off the couch and stood there, shaking the gun in her hand. She began to step quietly toward Trevor's room, Brad's room. Carefully opening the door, she said a silent prayer, then reached in to turn the light on. Her hand stopped before reaching the light switch when the light to hers and Lorne's bedroom turned on. Kayla moved her hand back, realizing that Lorne was in their bedroom. She is so smart. She moved quietly toward their bedroom and began to turn the knob. Why is she moving towards the bedroom if he's in there? She tried to.
Because she has the gun, she's suddenly. This is the most boring fucking action scene in the history of the world. But because she has the gun, she's gonna murder him. I don't understand why she went into Brad's bedroom and wanted to turn on the light. I
That's what I
don't
mean.
I
Like,
don't know what her rationale is here.
yeah, like she was, like it seemed like she was, trying to get into a different part of the house than where she thought Lorne might be. But I mean, also going into that room and turning on the light just to make it obvious where she is. I don't get that rationale. Um, I'm just putting that in the box of Kayla is an idiot. But then
Okay.
all of a sudden, when she knows where Lorne is, she's like, no, I'm not going to hide. I'm going to. I guess that's not too. I'm probably being harsh there. I guess that's not too much of a crazy idea. Like she's, summoned up the courage and she thinks the preemptive strike is the best idea here. So I won't shit on that. That is fine. But
Give
yeah,
Kayla too much credit.
I
She's a moron.
she really is a moron. And g'day, I am the Senate and Robert Osland. Um, she tried to peek through the crack in the door to try to see where Lorne was. She could see him sitting on the end of the bed with his back to her and his head down. She inched the door open, then stopped when he spoke. I'm sorry for the way things have turned out, Kayla. Lorne spoke with his back still to Kayla. Kayla wondered how he knew she was there. What? Like, footsteps, Kayla, you half-wit. Opening the door. The creak that I'm sure the door opened, because if it's Lorne's house, you know, they're not, you know, it's not like he's going around putting WD-40 or, you know, grease or whatever on the hinges. She hadn't given any indication of her presence, besides all of the obvious indications that would be happening
Right.
in the middle of the night in a house with no other noise around. She wasn't wearing any perfume to let off any smell. Did he know?
Only if you wear perfume do you have a smell.
Exactly. So, you know, remember that, guys. If you're ever, you know, being chased by a homicidal maniac, stay perfectly still and wear no perfume at all. That is the only way they can find you.
Well, apparently they can find you even if you don't do those things. So you're screwed if you're being
well,
followed
Lorne
by
that is a good
Lorne.
point, but Lorne is also, you know, he is a lot
a
smarter.
super soldier.
He is a super soldier, so probably all the other homicidal maniacs aren't going to be as good as him. But, you know, that's giving yourself the best chance at least. No perfume. Remain completely still. And turn on all lights in the house.
Right.
Did he know she was there, or was he just talking as if she was there? She couldn't find the answer, but she was freaked out over his actions. Okay, so he's
Shoot him.
actually acted pretty normal, right? I mean, he's
sitting on the bed, yeah.
He is sitting on the bed. She has entered the room and he has started talking to her, but this flips her out. Like, how did he know I was here? She is so freaked out about his actions.
Also, we never get confirmation that she knows he's murdered people.
Well, that's
we
true.
know that he's murdered people, but she never called the police on him. She just said, "Oh, I'm worried that he's going to his therapist's house," which it's a day later, right? So, police should have done like a wellness check on him. Like, hey, we called you last night and asked if you need any police help, and you said no. Are you still alive? No. Oh my God, we better call that woman back who said her husband was going to murder this therapist and let her know he's probably coming for her next. We don't know if that happened. So maybe that didn't happen. So from Kayla's perspective, he's just left for a day, which is normal behavior for her husband, and then come back home and broken in upstairs. But, like, she's got a gun, she's going to kill him. That seems like an overstep. Like, maybe, you know, hey, get out of here, I'm going to call the police. I've done such a poor job of communicating to us what each character knows that I don't know anything.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And it's just, you know, this kind of actually probably one of the few normal ways they have interacted. This is freaking her out, but you know, the showing up with blood on his clothes, you know, the deep stab wound into his chest or stomach, wherever it was, and the stupid explanation about the knife coming out and landing on it, that didn't set off any alarm bells or freak her out, but this has freaked her out. Lorne stood up from his seat on the bed and slowly turned around. He looked at the door and spoke again. "You can open the door all the way, Kayla. I know you're standing there," he told her. Jesus Christ. So he, like, you know, he's trying to make out like he's some kind of savant now. Like, you know, he can tell people are standing there even without turning around. Kayla pushed the door open. She didn't know what to say. She knew whatever she did say would have to be said with caution. Lorne was no longer the man she fell in love with, and she had to remember that. She thought hard for something to say. "Are you all right, Lorne?" Kayla asked him carefully. "No, I'm not," Lorne answered. Kayla felt sincerity in Lorne's words and thought she saw regret in his eyes. Hang on. He hasn't turned around or anything. So he was facing away from her, so much so that we made a big deal about the fact that, you know, how amazing his senses are that he could tell that she was there without looking.
Right.
But now she can see regret in his eyes. Like,
well, Kayla, in addition to her locksmith superpower, she can also see through solid objects. So this is a story about super beings. In case you hadn't caught on yet, Cornville. God,
it has
I'm a
taken
super
me.
soldier. What the fuck?
It has taken me 11 and a half chapters too to realize what this actual story is about. I feel stupid. And g'day to Logan W and Game Mangoes. And I think that's all that came in. Sorry if I missed anybody. So, she thinks she thought she saw regret in his eyes. Then, just as fast as she saw the sincerity and regret through the back of his head, she saw the evil come back in his eyes. I've been killing people, Kayla. But I guess you've already figured that out. She really hasn't, Lorne. You give her way too much credit.
I wish Kayla was like, what? You've been what?
Well, yeah. And she kind of almost says that. Lorne stated as he began to walk toward her. I don't know what you're talking about, Kayla said, trying to convince Lorne that she didn't notice the change in him. Like, I just...
Did she know the whole time, or when did she figure it out? Because she definitely didn't know before he left.
No, like, was it the slap? Like, did that, like, was it like, you are right, maybe I have missed the complete point here, and this is a story about superheroes, because I'm guessing now that when Lorne slapped her, like, you know, some people, they can get passed on people's memories and that through touch. So, like, he slapped her, and all of a sudden, she saw, you know, kind of like, you know, the ghost coming out of Voldemort's wand, you know, that all the kind of replays of the people he's killed. So I think that is exactly what has happened here.
This story is about a mother's love for her child, ultimately. So this might be a Harry Potter offshoot.
I'm pretty sure that J.K. Rowling stole this from him. The more I think about it, he should.
Only explanation.
Definitely sue her. You know, he'd be able to put a whole nother flaw on that trailer. And g'day to Kelly Slimebucket Witch Lady and Dr. Cunt. Cool. She doesn't know what he's talking about. Did you want to read for a while, buddy?
Sure. Lorne wasn't convinced, and his anger showed as his eyes grew mad. You called the police on me. Don't tell me you didn't, because I was at the psychiatrist's house when the police called and told Dr. Jeffs that you called. Lorne was growing more angry with every word. Kayla didn't know what to do. She turned and slammed the door shut behind her and began to run for the front. Just shoot him. She still has the gun. The fuck?
And
apparently she forgets she's holding a gun.
Yeah, well that's right, because I mean she forgot she had a garage, so and Cybersqueak, you know, points out another twist to this. Perhaps Lorne is J.K. Rowling. My mind.
Just kidding, Rowling. Oh my god.
Is blown. And Shin's Koala puts the more appropriate sentence there from Lorne before is, I've been preying on little kids, Kayla.
I know, said Kayla. I was one of those little kids. Oh my god, a plot twist. Okay. Lorne flung open the door and ran after Kayla. She was fumbling with the lock on the front door, her locksmithian powers failing her, when she saw him walking at a fast pace towards her. She got the door unlocked and started running for her car. She got as far as getting the door open when Lorne caught up with her. Kayla felt her head being jerked back by Lorne grabbing her hair, and the next thing she knew, she was being thrown on the ground. The gun that she had flew out of her hand. What a fucking idiot. On her way to the ground. Lorne was quickly on top of her, and she couldn't move.
And
she struggled to get Lorne off of her.
I reckon at that point where the gun flew out of her hand, she was like, oh, I had a gun.
Oh, shit. Yeah. She hasn't developed object permanence yet. She forgot it existed because she wasn't actively looking at it.
G'day, Jiroshima.
She struggled to get Lorne off of her, but it was useless. She felt Lorne's first fist connect with her cheek and felt the world around her grow dizzy. Again, the same thing as in the last chapter. The world around you does not grow dizzy. You become dizzy. I get he's trying to do some like artful writing, but that's just fucking confusing.
Exactly.
She was stunned and was at Lorne's mercy.
I think a large theme in this book, for Lorne should have been stay in your lane. Like, don't try to get artsy. Don't
Right.
try to,
Right.
just little words, simple concepts,
Whenever he tries to get like like cutesy, like you need to get some good rest, or like joking around, he can't do it because he has no world experience. It just comes off as like gross, weird flirtation that isn't.
Exactly.
Stay in your lane more.
And and that is like, I mean, leaving out all the disgusting sexual, stuff at the chat log, like things like that, like in particular that line that you need to get some good rest, like that is the cringiest stuff in there for me, like because he is just repeating shit that he thinks he's heard before, and just the fact that he's saying that to a kid. Anyway, that's a complete tangent, but just that like brought up that memory for me. I'm like, that is just
Right.
awful.
I hear you. I have a question. Since you brought up the chat log, what do you think, like, just from a strictly, like, literary work standpoint, what do you think is better, Taken Abroad or his chat log? I think it's his chat log.
Well,
At least
like,
there's another character in there in his
well,
chat
yeah,
log. You know what I
that's
mean?
right. I mean, I think you're right. It definitely is better just from a literary standpoint because, like, Lorne didn't have to worry about characters. The other character was done for him. So Lorne was really
Yeah.
just being exactly what he knows the best, which is himself. And plot-wise, there was far more plot in that. Like, yes,
Yes.
it was scarily, it was real life, but everything in there made sense. I mean, like, because in this, nothing makes sense. He joins the army. Nothing really that out of the, like, in terms of what probably people see at war. It was pretty mild what happened. I mean, apart from his friend dying, but then he
And those
gets
children exploding for no reason.
well,
That
yeah,
was weird.
yeah, semi-combustible children.
Right.
But but then all of us, like, there's no continuity to the plot. Like, he comes back, he's all good. Then he's having blackouts and he can't remember what he's doing, but all of a sudden he has full recollection. But like everything in the chat log is there's continuity. Like, Lorne is a pedophile. He found a child. He attempted to rape that child. Like that is exactly what a pedophile does. So there is continuity there. It's awful, but there is continuity there. Like, you know what I mean?
There's intrigue. There's the three-way love triangle between Derek, Kayla, and Lorne. That's intrigue. The chat log has thrills and it's got chills. And what more can you ask of something that you're reading, really, at the end of the day?
Exactly right. So I fully agree with you that from taking out how gross it is from a pure literary point, the chat log is far, far better than this book. And g'day to a Gorilla Spawn and Lenny Wood and Amanda James. Who says, I'm surprised Aaron didn't take a break from trying to kill his wife to enjoy some ham and coffee.
Yeah, me too, actually. That's strange. He was at home, so the ham and coffee was there. That's
Yeah.
weird.
Like, before I kill you, get in the kitchen and fix me some ham.
Just when she thought Lorne was going to be gentle with her because of the slug he delivered her, she felt her air being cut off. Lorne, why would she think he'd be gentle with her? What a fucking idiot.
Exactly.
Lorne had his hand around her throat and choking her. Kayla began to gag and struggle again, desperate to grab a breath of air. She had her right hand on Lorne's right arm, which was choking her, and her left hand reaching out to search for a rock or anything on the ground with which she could use to hit Lorne with. She couldn't find anything in her reach no matter which direction she moved her hand. She then remembered the knife that Lorne always carried on his belt. She reached down and felt the knife sheath. Lorne realized that Kayla was trying to get the knife out of its sheath. Couldn't reach her hand with his left without letting go of his grip on her neck. I'm very confused about what's happening with these characters here. He's strangling her with. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I'm honestly really confused here. So she's obviously trying to get the knife from the sheath. So because Lorne is on top of her, strangling her, which right, and so
Yes.
Lorne realised that Clay was trying to get the knife from the sheath, but couldn't reach her hand with his left without letting go of the grip. So he has his left hand on her neck. So why is he
Okay.
not using his right then to stop her hand?
Yeah, I don't know. Or put your knees on her elbows and then choke her with both hands. That way she can't move her arms at all.
Yeah, so hang on, back here she says she had her right hand on Lorne's right arm, which was choking her. No, hang on. He's choking her with his right arm, and then down here he says he wouldn't be able to choke her without letting with his he wouldn't be able to reach her hand with his left without letting go of the grip. So he's not using his left, but what he couldn't. Oh, this is ridiculous. Like he's tried
I don't
to
know.
he's tried to describe this fight scene in such great detail, but he can't keep the continuity between two paragraphs. Anyway,
Oh my god.
sorry, back to
Sometimes
you.
less is more, Lauren.
But actually, just before
Guru,
we,
yeah, screw you.
what's that? Hello to
Guru
everyone,
said
Eel
hello.
Reerg. And hello to you, good and you, big bad Guru. Great to see you. I was just going to ask Amanda James because they're just talking about Lorne's other masterpiece, the creature that they're eating.
Mm.
Is there many more chapters left of that? Because I haven't actually listened to any yet because I'm saving it as a little treat to myself because I want to binge it all because I'm sure there'll be no continuity in that. But I figure if I listen to it all at the one time, that's the best chance of getting some kind of continuation through there. So,
I I think that was a mistake, Cornville. That's going to be a headache and a half to listen to that in in one sitting.
look, it
Uh,
could well be,
move.
but I have. I've gone this far with letting it be saved up, so I'm in this far. So I'm keen to know one more. Okay, thank you very much, Amanda James. One more chapter. So there you go. I'm doing it, and I'll let you know if I survive listening to it all in one stint or not.
Please do. That should
Although
be
it'll
like
be,
torture at Guantanamo Bay.
it should be, but I mean it will be funny. With I know like everything they do is very funny. So like
Yes.
that'll save me from it.
Right.
Back to
Absolutely.
you.
Um, Kayla felt Lauren's fist start pounding against her head. She wouldn't give up even after the continuous blows to her head. Ending two sentences with head. Okay. She finally was able to get the knife out of the sheath and was able to stick it in Lauren's side. All right, great.
That is incredible. Stick it in you.
Lauren's grip relaxed. Yep, she stuck it in him. Aha, the old switcheroo. Kayla knows what's up.
Exactly.
Lauren's
Remember how you're gonna stick it into me, Lorne? Well, I'm sticking it in you.
Lauren's grip relaxed on Kayla's throat, and Kayla took a much-needed breath of air as Lauren fell off her and landed on the ground with blood leaking out of his side. When Kayla got her breath back, she stood up and looked down at Lauren. She put her hand over her mouth and began crying, thinking that she had killed him. In the dark, she couldn't see that he was still breathing. She turned and made her way back to the house to get her cell phone. So she has a cell phone. She didn't call the police.
No. Well, she was
Someone was trying to break into her home.
just going to lie there and wait for what happened next. Um, and Shin said you can't do it all in one day, Cornville. You can't play God. So that is wise words, and I only have myself to blame for whatever happens.
To be fair, whenever a teacher would tell me that you can't do this project the night before, in an act of defiance, I would always do the project the night before. So I think you can do it in a day, Cornville. You've turned me around. I'm on your team now. Go get them.
Thank you very much. I love a challenge. And good and you just wants to remind us that Lorne's homophobic. Uh, cool. Where were we up to? I'm getting really sidetracked today. I clearly don't want this to end.
Lauren came Too, after passing out from the sudden loss of blood. He noticed Kayla was not there, and it came back to him that she had stabbed him with his own knife. He scrambled wearily to his feet and fumbled to the house. Seeing the front door wide open, he knew Kayla was still inside the house, probably thinking he was dead. Walking in the house, he painfully stumbled into the kitchen and got the butcher knife from the drawer. Now he would. Why didn't he get the gun from outside? And he'd just pick up the gun.
Well, you can't stick a gun in someone. Well, Lorne probably.
So he wanted
Anyway,
some revenge. He wanted to stick it in her.
Yeah. I think he wants the the pseudo. Don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but yeah, he wanted to stick it.
Okay. Now he would get her, and she would not escape. He could not let her out of the house this time. He walked back to the front door, closed and locked it, and looked toward the bedroom and began walking. Kayla heard the front door close and lock. She began trembling in fear again. She thought for sure that she had killed Lorne, but knew now that she hadn't. Thank you for sharing that. I wouldn't have. Oh, he's coming into the house and he's locking the door. I guess I didn't kill him. Okay, the genius Kayla has worked out the latest developing story here.
Oh my god.
And he was in the house with her again. Remaining quiet, she prayed that he would not come into the bedroom, but knew deep down he was aware that's where she was, just because, I guess he just knows that. Just as she found her cell phone, Lorne showed up at the bedroom door with a butcher knife clutched tightly in his hand. Kayla could not escape. She was trapped, and she knew it. Lorne smiled with an evilness in his eye as he slowly walked towards Kayla. Kayla's begging him to leave her alone.
Did not jar him.
So, yeah, Kayla's begging him to leave her alone did not jar him at all. Okay.
No.
Then the only thing she could feel was the desire of death emanating from Lorne. She backed up to the wall. What does that feel like, by the way?
Okay, but also, yeah, exactly. How do you feel that? And was the desire of death emanating from Lorne, as in Lorne's desire to die, or Lorne's desire to kill her? I don't understand what that means.
His desire for murder was radiating from him. Maybe that would make more sense. It's very, strange phraseology.
This chapter, this is where it got too much for Lorne. Like, while the other chapters were bad and the overall story is bad and the writing was bad, both from the point of grammar and sentence structure and just spelling, like this is just where it completely overwhelms him. He's tried to do too much here. It's like he was carrying bricks this whole time, and it was just he was just holding on, and all of a sudden he's decided, you know what, I'm sick of walking back and forth. I'm just going to double the load here, and it's just all come unstuck. It's too much.
Well, see, I think chapter 11 and chapter 12 finished. I think that up until then, he wrote the book in prison, and then just, like Lorne does with everything, just throws the project aside. Fuck it, I'm not going to finish it. I tried my best, which means just attempting to do it. And then he finished these two when he got out of prison, because these last two combined for 20 pages, and his previous chapter, this was 34. So I think he was having fun writing it until 11 and 12.
Yeah.
And he's like, fuck, I just got to button this thing up.
So this is probably where he was has convinced himself. There's Mama Gwen's like, you've got to finish the book, Lord. And so he's just, he's just like, I've just got to get this done so she'll get off my back. But, this could have, as much as I think he has cheated the audience by having such little detail gone into, he has now proven me wrong, whereas this is when he's tried to go into greater detail, it is just awful. So this is kind of
Incomprehensible.
Lorne sticking his finger up at us saying, you know, this is what you asked for, this is what you get. And g'day to Cornhole Three-Way and Patrick. Great to see you both. Especially you, Cornhole Three-Way.
She backed up to the wall as far as she could, holding onto the edge of the dresser. She searched the small area for some type of weapon, but the only thing near was the lamp on top of the dresser. Before she had a chance to reach for it, Lorne was right there with his forearm pressed up against her neck, pressing her to the wall. Then she felt the tip of the butcher's knife break into her skin on her abdomen, on her creamy center. She began to cry from the pain and lack of air. She was desperately eating again. She just knew this was the end. She still had her cell phone in her right hand, and without giving anything away, she felt around on the keypad of her cell phone and dialed 911, then send. Okay. She has supernatural touch powers too. She can just feel 911. Maybe it's like a flip. I guess it's a flip phone, probably. So maybe.
Well,
it's possible.
It is possible, and it's also like you can get phones, that are kind of specially made for, people with disabilities or like, the elderly that are somewhat incapacitated, which, just have a button for like, rather than a keypad, like, button for your essential things like, 911 or whatever. And Kayla is a half-wit. So perhaps she could never master a traditional phone and she's gotten herself one of these. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there.
If it's like a regular phone, though, see, I could understand if it's a flip phone, it's got the thing. She would know where 911 and send is. But if you call 911, they say, 911, what's your emergency? They don't just go, oh shit, we got a call. Let's use the GPS and go to the address where this call is coming from. Like... what's that going to do at this point?
Yeah, true. Look, and this is one of those cases where I really do hate defending Lorne or giving any kind of credence to what he's written, but I don't know if it's the same there, but like there was a big thing over here where like the police call lines that are now trained to, because they used to do that, like, no one's there, they'd hang up the phone, but they're trained to not do that anymore because, like, in situations where someone, say, in, like, a domestic abuse situation, they can call and, you might be able to, you don't want to say what's going on, but, they'll listen, try to track the number and listen to any clues there and that kind of thing. Like, there was a famous case here where someone, called 911 but convinced their abuser that they were calling for a pizza and, like, they kind of gave him cryptic clues through that. But, yeah, so, look, I'm not, that may be what Kayla's doing here.
I hear what you're saying. There are like apps for that and stuff. I know. I'm not sure if like that's protocol with 911 in the United States, but I know that there are apps and stuff. But what I'm saying is if it's a touch phone, which would have GPS, if it has like GPS technology, like a touch screen, right? This is either like, 2016 when he's writing this, or it's 2007 technology, which most phones didn't have GPS, and let alone the police couldn't locate your phone based on its GPS or its number or whatever. It'd be very difficult. So I don't know what Kayla's going for here. It's one or the other, and neither one makes sense.
No, you're right.
It doesn't even matter because she drops it in the next sentence.
You're right, and Trooper Grandson said much the same as you, where that's now, and back then that wasn't true. So yeah, so that probably is right. She's just been an idiot. So I take it back, Lorne. You are still a shit writer. And g'day to Dream. And someone said something I wanted to talk about then. I can't remember what it was. Oh, yeah. So Logan W. Thinks a more appropriate name for this book would have been Fakin' Abroad. How to Shit on Vets, Battered Women, and PTSD Survivors by L.L. Armstrong. And g'day, Primitive Good.
How about 87 ways to shit on blah, 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 blah. Perfect.
Perfect, chef's kiss.
uh, cell phone and dialed 911, then send, while Lorne was yelling into her face, and dropped the phone on the floor. Kayla braced herself to try and free herself from Lorne.
Are
She
you
reached for the lamp
fucking
while Lorne
kidding
was still.
me? That's
You're
what I like.
fucking joking me right now! Right. She reached for the lamp while Lorne was still distracted by his own yelling. Okay. She grabbed base of the brass lamp and swung as hard as she could, connecting it with Lorne's skull. It didn't knock him out, but the effect was enough for Kayla to get free of Lorne and the knife. She started running to the door, but felt from Lorne diving and she felt or but fell from Lorne diving and pushing her from behind. Trying as she may, she couldn't move her right leg because Lorne had a grip on it and wouldn't let go. Kayla kicked fiercely and somehow connected her boot heel with Lorne's face, forcing Lorne to release the grip on her ankle. She scrambled to her feet, almost falling again as she did, and ran to the front door, unlocking and opening it, and began running toward her car again. She hit the ground hard when Lorne tackled her. Her ribs hurt bad from the impact of the object still pressing against her ribs. It was that gun that flew out of her hand when Lorne hit her the first time. Lorne roughly flipped her over, grabbed her throat again, and began choking her with the butcher knife rising in the air. I was going to take you alive to the place where I buried the others. Why? But I think I've had enough. No, he wasn't. He's gonna kill her.
Like, but why would he do that? Like,
I don't know. I get that he's insane, but that was totally not his plan at all.
No, he didn't take Dr. Jeffs to the place where he buried the others alive. He killed him and took him there. After Dr. Jeffs had turned off the lights as he was dying to save electricity. You know, he might be dying,
Yeah.
but, you know, his wife's going to have to take
He's
care of the
eco-friendly.
bills. You know.
That's right. I'm going to take you alive. I was going to take you alive to the place where I buried the others, but I think I've had enough of a hard time with you. Lorne sputtered out the location of his personal burial ground and told Kayla how proud she would have been of him and why isn't this why is he telling us that he told Kayla how proud she would have been of him and how he placed little American flags on their graves representing that they were killed by an American soldier. Okay, well that's new information. Number one.
Okay, no, this is not acceptable. So he's telling her
This is not acceptable.
like this is ridiculous. So why would she be proud of him killing people and putting flags on their graves?
He's insane. He's crazy all of a sudden.
Is he? Like, had he not done this, had he just killed people and buried them, you know, and not kind of put a marker on where these people are buried, like, what did he think was going to happen here? Like, you know, he's about to kill her. He's like, you know, I'm going to tell you the coordinates of where I've buried all the other people. Did he think that she was going to be like, please tell me you at least put American flags on their graves to represent they were killed by an American soldier? well, no, I didn't think about that.
I have great news for you.
For fuck's sake, Lorne, you can't do anything right. Like what the? Like I don't get that. And like you say, this is news to us that the whole putting American flags were to represent they're being killed by an American soldier. He said previously it was to show that they had died an honourable death or whatever stupid thing he said.
I don't remember what he said.
And is that what he
there's-
thinks American flags are for? Like, does he think like when you go over to war, there's just little American flags everywhere every time they kill someone? Like, you know, there's just when they go out in a tank or something, or you know they're going out to war. It's like, okay, what I've got my boots on, I've got my gun, I've got enough ammunition. Oh fuck, I don't have my flags. What am I going to do when I kill someone? This is ridiculous. Like, what? Fuck this guy, man. Honestly.
I think he just made it up wholesale. He's just like, I don't know, he needs to do something. He puts an American flag where he buries them, I guess. I don't know. A lot of new information with no prior setup has been revealed just in the past like 2 paragraphs. That
Yeah.
makes no sense.
Like
But
I know, a good, thriller will have a twist at the end, like, you know, the I See Dead People at the end of Sixth Sense, like, the Bone Collector, where you don't realize until the end who the actual killer was. Like, you thought it was this guy all of a sudden, and then all of a sudden that guy's dead, and you realize, like, but this isn't what people mean by a twist. Like, you've,
it's set up, and like a good twist is one that like you don't see coming, and then you can't see the movie any other way or the story any other way again. And rewatching it, you're like, oh shit, yep, I totally see it. And this, like, if you reread this, you'd be like, okay, I like it. There's no, he doesn't lay the groundwork for this twist at all, so it doesn't.
no,
It's not
like,
impactful
we're now on the last
whatsoever.
page of this book, and so this is, this is essentially his big twist is, and like, so he's, I'm just thinking about all the books I've read where, you kind of, you get to them like, oh, like you have that moment where you're like, oh, that was, so this is what what was the big twist in that book you just read? Oh, it turns out the American flags were to symbolize that he was an American soldier, not that the guys he killed had an honorable death. Like, oh, okay, that sounds like a waste of time. Yeah, it sure was. I just,
And why did that matter to the story? It didn't at all. Oh, okay, great.
And I just realised while we were talking before that we should have changed Dr. Jeffs to Chris Hansen, because he's
Oh,
he's a
that would have been good.
therapist. He's a therapist.
That's right.
And g'day CLM 1987.
There's only like 3 more paragraphs. Do you want to finish this off?
Oh yeah, Mel, if you're happy to do that. All right, let's do it, guys. Let's get through it together. I had to kill them. They were the enemy, Kayla. Just like you turned out to be. Lorne finished as he raised the knife higher to strike Kayla in the heart. So, it's
I'm guessing it's raining and there's lightning in the background. That's how I'm picturing this.
Yeah,
This is very
maniacal laugh
melodramatic.
as he does it.
Yes.
But hang on here. So, gun flew out of blah blah blah. Lorne flipped her over and grabbed. Okay, so I know in my head I had it like he had her against the wall, but she's on the ground, so he's raising her to put her through her heart. Kayla frantically searched for the gun with her fingers as Lorne continued his speech. When she finally found
Monologuing.
it, exactly. G'day, Bundaberg Bogan. When she finally found it and grasped it in her hand, Lorne was finished with talking and beginning his strike at Kayla's chest. Lorne's eyes grew wide with horror when he saw Kayla raise the gun quickly, and before he could react, the bullet hit him with a short thud in his chest. Lorne fell to the ground, taking his last short breaths. So, obviously, like, I think what Lorne's going for is kind of like, what's the word? Like slow motion kind of thing. Like, he's delivering this speech. He's got it pinned down to the ground. He's slowly raising the knife and he's slowly bringing it down. But like, there wouldn't be enough time. Like, because he said that she's reaching for the gun as he's starting to bring the knife down. Like, in the slow motion scene, I understand that might take several seconds, but in actual life, if you're plunging a knife down, that's like a split second. So there wouldn't be enough time for her.
And he's a super soldier.
That's
even
right.
faster.
That's right. But apparently there is enough time for her to grasp the gun, bring the gun up, to get it between them where there wouldn't be that much space if he's on top of her, and shoot him. So he doesn't seem to understand that you might be going for a slow motion, but there's not enough time to do all that. If you wanted a slow motion scene, she already had to have found the gun and be basically pointing it at you. And then this is incorrect. Try again, Lorne.
You complain about this version, but in the original version, he actually put Kayla into a pit, and he was slowly filling it up with water to drown her, and he just allowed Kayla to have free reign, and she actually got herself out of the pit of water before it filled up, and she wound up killing him later. So, I mean, this is quicker, I think.
This is okay. So this is better than the original then. And g'day, Elvin
Yes.
Ortez, and I died it by myself. Kayla laid there crying when she heard the police sirens coming up the road. She turned her head and looked over at Lorne. His eyes were still open but lifeless. Kayla reached over and closed Lorne's eyes, then ran her hand across his cheek. It was over. The bodies of the people that Lorne had killed and buried were found because of Kayla repeating to the police what Lorne had told her, and the fucking flags marking the spot. She sat there at the funeral of 5 different people. One person that at one time she knew very well, the other 4 that she didn't know at all, but grieved over because they represented the end of the life that she knew and loved. Okay,
You
so
went to their funerals?
she went to their funeral. So what wouldn't a grieving family want than, the widow of the person that killed their loved ones there? It, funerals are hard enough, but a constant reminder of the fact that they were murdered by the husband of this half-wit trying to eat the programs, most likely, is exactly what they
Agreed.
want. And as Amanda James
And
says,
also,
was this a group funeral?
Right.
Like they just
it was all parties welcome. First come, first serve funeral, Amanda James.
ex-
You know
ex-
those.
exactly. And g'day to Jay
Also,
Potato Man. Yeah.
they made a clear point that Lorne did not take Kayla to the spot. He wanted to show her where he had murdered all the people
Mm.
and buried them. He didn't. That was made very clear. How did she know where they were all buried? Did he tell her that in the monologue? Was he like, now that I'm about to kill you, about 100 feet behind our house, behind our shed, are 4 dead bodies with an American flag sticking out of the... Like, I don't remember that ever happening.
Well,
I don't know
yeah.
how she
Well,
knows
no,
this.
it kind of did because it's like he was going to take her to the place where he buried the others, but I think I've had enough of a hard time with you. Lawrence, he sputtered out the location of his personal burial ground.
Oh, okay.
So,
It
but
seems
still,
like it was in the middle of the woods.
well, that's
How
right. Like, how did
did he just say in the woods?
Yeah, like that's right. And that would have been enough. But that's the thing. Like, I mean, apparently she was able to lead them directly to it. So did he get out a map and mark it during this whole standoff? Like, did he give her coordinates? Like, how did that work? Like, that whole thing is just stupid. It's stupid. And the other thing I wanted to talk about here is that, so firstly, yeah, so she went to a funeral for 5 different people. One person that at one time she knew. So, but he doesn't say that she went to 5 different funerals. So this makes it sound, and this is what Amanda James was saying before, that they were all buried together. So the murderer and his 4 victims all just had one big group funeral.
I'll saves money.
Well, it does save money. So there is that, I guess. And but the other thing that I've got a major issue with here is that the other 4, so blah blah blah, the other 4 that she didn't know very well at all, but grieved over because they represented the end of the life that she knew and loved. So she went to these funerals, didn't grieve for the fact that these innocent people had lost their lives. The kids that are now growing up without their mother,
Parents.
of course, Amber/Amanda James didn't think about the fact that her kids would grow up without her. Thought about how sad she was that Lorne had to do this. But so she didn't grieve for that. She just grieved because her life as she knew it is over. So what a selfish
They're not
bitch.
other people. They're secondary characters to Lorne's life, and that's the real tragedy, that he lost himself. Not that
Yeah.
these people died. He
No.
lost himself, and that's really a shame.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and so it's almost written in a way you'd imagine like they're at this funeral and the families are grieving. They're like, oh, for fuck's sake, shut up. You think you got it bad? Like, I I
Really.
I lost my fucking husband. Like, who's gonna make me expel dampness now? Anyway, Kayla stood up and walked away from the grave sites, hand in hand with Brad and Lorne and Mama Gwen. Now it was time to move on and start a new life, keeping only the memories of the man Lorne used to be, not used, used to be. The motherfucking end.
Wow. I liked how the falling action of this story, the like post climax of the story, was one paragraph. That's really good. I think that pretty much wraps it all up.
Yep.
We don't need to know any more than that they went to the funerals. Kayla was sad. That Mama Gwen was there.
Yep.
Done.
And it really finishes up with what the most important thing of this book is, and really the whole reason Lorne wrote this book, with keeping only the memories of the man Lorne used to be, because that is essentially what Lorne wants to do, whatever he wants, be that get drunk, break probation, drive drunk, pretendly kill people, rape kids, but don't judge him for that. Don't think badly about that. Just remember the man he used to be before he
Well,
did all of
in
this.
the sequel, we'll find out that Lorne is getting over being his dad. He used to be dead, but he's getting over being his dad, and he's back, and now he's going to try and redeem himself. I'm really excited for it. Sounds great.
Lorne the zombie. I'm getting over my dad.
God fucking damn it!
Hey, g'day you, Super J. So that is that. What are your kind of now we are going to do a kind of wrap up stream on this, but I guess in light of this final chapter, what are your kind of final thoughts on this chapter, I guess?
When I heard them read it over on Burkett's channel, I remember like I was excited for the final chapter in the sense that like, it's terrible. I remember feeling let down, like unbelievably somehow I had no expectations and the climax of this story still didn't meet my no expectations, and I feel the same way now rereading it. I'd completely forgotten it 'cause it had been months since I'd read it, and it's just so nothing. It's like an invert, like in a story arc, it's rising action and it's the peak at the climax, and this is just like it like falls off a cliff. I can't even describe it. What do you think about the end of this book?
Look, I think very much the same. And what a shock! What a shock that it would end this way. And g'day, sad face 09. But it's just like it is a really bad chapter. Like even if like I mean obviously the book is bad, but I mean even if you said like if you said the book was okay, like this is bad. Like it just there is like my biggest issues are it's just wrapped up so terribly. Like it is just
Yeah,
and the time between really where like there is no real wrap up. Basically, it's just kind of like all this stuff is
one
happening.
paragraph.
Yeah, like all this stuff is happening. Nothing good, but it's still happening. And then basically it's like between the time where he was shot and the last word of this book, there's probably 50 to 60 words, if that. Like it's just like Lorne's dead, remember me how I were. Basically, is how this ends. But I think just really what sticks out to me is that he tried to be too good in this. Like he tried to all of a sudden decide that probably chapter 11 as well, but chapter 11 and 12 we're going to go from really vague, no descriptions on anything except for food and people's weight to fully describing the fight scenes as if this was like as if he was kind of doing a blow by blow of a movie, and it was just awful. Like there was no continuity to it. There was you couldn't you're trying to get, and I understand what he was trying to do. Like he was trying to write something with the reader would get lost in the scene, right? Like kind of almost like you're watching a movie, you're seeing this, but you couldn't because you kept having to go back. Hang on a second, which hand was choking her? Like
Yeah.
where were they? Like it was just bad. Um,
To be fair, in writing this last chapter, there was nothing to pay off other than he's a murderer and must be stopped. That's all there is. If he murdered Mama Gwen because they had set up that he loved her so much and nothing blah blah blah, he never hit her, he never did anything to her. If he murdered her, then maybe
mm,
that could somehow be satisfying as a conclusion.
mm.
But it's just so poorly set up that there was no way that you could do the work of an entire book in a final chapter. So I shouldn't have been surprised that it was disappointing, but still, here I am.
Yeah, and look, like the other thing is too, like there was, and g'day, Pussy Destroyer. Like the other thing was like, this whole book, even though it wasn't done well, it was all about kind of this back and forth between, well, firstly, feeling like he's losing the man he is, he's having these nightmares, that kind of stuff, and then when it moves into the point where he starts killing, like, well, first we started off with that he was having blackouts and couldn't remember, but that just got forgotten, and like, I don't think that was a purposeful thing. I think he literally forgot that that's what he was saying.
Right.
Um, but then, you kind of had this kind of back and forth about he's wanting to stay he's wanting to stay this quote unquote good man, but he's also fighting this kind of bloodlust and this kind of thing, which that's the other thing that all of a sudden it just turned into straight out bloodlust. Like it wasn't kind of like this. It lost this whole I'm seeing enemies everywhere and all this kind of stuff. He just really started to love killing people. But like that whole back and forth is probably one of the key themes in there. So this last chapter should have touched back on that. Like it should have, like when he was going through obviously decided he was going to kill Kayla, there should have been times where he kind of snapped out of that, or kind of like, no, I can't do this. This is the mother of my child. This is the woman I love. I can't do this. And then going back to, no, Lorne, it's
Sure.
gone too far. You have to, something like that. But it was
An
just,
internal battle would have been
yeah.
interesting. And you can do that in a story. Like, you can't do that in a movie because you can't have an internal thought. But in a book, that's a different medium.
Well, we
You could
haven't seen a Lorne
expressed
movie yet,
that.
to be fair. You can't confidently say you can't do that in a movie when we
I
haven't
just
seen
mean,
Lorne.
I mean, in normal products that couldn't be done in a movie. But he chose to write this last chapter from someone else's perspective entirely. Or the first two paragraphs are from his perspective, and then it's from Kayla's perspective. Is the stupidest fucking choice ever, because you can't feel catharsis for a character that has been a background character the entire time. I don't know.
Exactly right. And, as Amanda James says, he turned into a cheesy evil villain, complete with the evil smile on his face. And that's it. Like that was up until the last kind of chapter, that was never really part of it. Like it was this struggling with that. And I mean, when he had killed people before, it was all about, kind of not wanting to do it, but then having to do it and then giving them an honourable burial and all this kind of stuff too, like he turned into, Sideshow Bob, like, big monologues before he kills, he tries to kill Bart and all this kind of stuff. It was just completely unnecessary.
Are you sure he was a cheesy evil villain? He seemed more like a hammy evil villain to me.
He did ham it up. Always hamming it up. But yeah, so I just, it finished probably how we should have expected it, to be fair.
We could have probably predicted disappointment in the first chapter, but I'm still glad we read it. I had a good time.
Yeah,
Learned a lot. Nothing
sorry,
useful, but I learned a lot.
Just one other thought that Amanda James has, she has a habit of making very good insights. He randomly cut his finger off for no reason at all, and the injury was never mentioned again. Which that is a good point. because what was the point?
I
Like,
forgot about that.
what was the point of doing that? Like, if that was part of the story, like there was no need to cut his finger off. But you
I
could
mean,
have
it showed
called.
he was distracted at work, but it never came back in any meaningful way
Yeah,
or
and that could have
anything.
come back throughout it, like, making it difficult, like when he was murdering people, like, making it difficult to, grip the knife or something. Like, it was just unnecessary. And I think that's it. Like, he wrote this book like he was on a word count and he filled it up with bullshit. Like, if you're going to write a short story, you can't spend that much detail on useless shit. So it's like he couldn't decide
So
if he wanted to do a short story or if he wanted to do a novel.
that was a good idea. That it should have impacted his ability to hold the knife or something. Maybe he cut off his like trigger finger so he couldn't shoot the gun or something like that. That way, it would be like his distraction, his unwillingness to treat his mental illness was ultimately his downfall. That could be
Yeah,
a symbol of the in the story. But nope, he just cut his finger off because
exactly. And g'day, Lorne's Wet Salad. And Kelly Slimebucket Witch Lady makes a good point that a great catfish would be a producer or screenplay writer contacting
oh
Lorne
my
wanting to
god,
make this into a film or Netflix series. That
that is a
would
great idea. I love that.
that really would be good. And they, as Joran would say, they should make him Australian. I'm trying to strong arm Australians to be the next catfish. So, an Australian film producer for Netflix should contact Lorne about turning this into a screenplay. I mean, not a screenplay, a Netflix series.
Marvel,
Perfect.
I think that's your life's mission
Well,
now.
no, I think Joran was hoping it would be a female Australian. He was very clear that he was interested in only
Never said
the
that.
women. He didn't say that, but it was implied.
I don't know.
But yeah, so look, that's pretty much it. So now, you came up with a really good idea for how we can wrap this up, which I was surprised because usually you don't have good ideas. So I was
I was
very
surprised too. Yeah, it really took us all here at Cornville Limited for a
really
shock.
it really shocked us. But so we want to do a stream or two, kind of um wrapping this up, kind of final thoughts on, and I don't know whether we go through it kind of chapter by chapter, like what do we think about this chapter or whatever, but what we thought would be fun would be we'll do a bit of like an open call line, and people can call up and kind of give their own thoughts. What did you like about it? What didn't like? What were your favorite things? That kind
I
of
really
thing.
want to know what people liked about this. Like, I'm
I do
genuinely
too.
curious if you thought anything was good.
I do too. And so we could either just say, hey, you know, call lines are open, call up, say what you think, or we could kind of have categories like what did you like, what didn't you like. I mean that, and I think that segment would be very short. Um, I like that it was over, potentially that kind of thing. But yeah,
Right.
so if people would be cool with that, or like if want to be involved in that, then that's what we'll do. So I'll get that organised for next week in terms of um, uh, you know, links up there for Skype and Discord and that kind of stuff. But I think that'll be a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, look, we might Amanda like the part where Lorne died. That's fair.
Me
So we
too.
might we might start wrapping that up there. So thank you once again, Eel. This has been a heap of fun going through this book. I definitely wouldn't have wanted to do it alone, so I appreciate that. And
Thank you so much for having me.
no, no, anytime. And now we still got a few more thoughts to be had on this one, so we'll do that next week. So thanks all for coming out, guys. Thanks for all your input and insights. It always makes this yeah, so much better. And I will see you all again soon. Don't forget to delete your archives.